Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
Terrific.
Good. Ready for Thanksgiving?
Not quite,
Not quite.
but I will be.
Yeah, we're not quite ready.
I'm planning to go do my food shopping today, to be honest. It's okay. I mean, I've got some things, but it's okay. It's chill.
Yeah. Well,
as the kids say, it's chill.
It's chill. They're so cool, those kids nowadays. Chill. All right. So today, what are we talking about? Something that I think that a lot of people, we all have fear and insecurity. That's without a doubt. We're here in this universe, and that's the name of the game, right? We are experiencing things and overcoming things, enjoying the good and the bad, and, facing our challenges and so on. So today we're going to speak about fear and insecurity. And I'm going to go to the first slide. And this one, I think that a lot of us have this fear of failure. I'm afraid of failure. And, some of us, we have a lot of past failures for whatever reason, or we have a lot of harsh criticism as a child, or I think a lot of it stems from when we're children. It really depends on how your things were at home, how things were at school, how you felt like you fit in, and what you were trying to do. And at some point, some of us start to think that failure defines if we're worthy, or that our abilities, depending on how we were rewarded and praised, we think that it's because of our abilities that we're worthy, not because we're inherently worthy, because who we are, just being. And we start to develop this perspective that if I fail, I'm not good enough. And, if you practice a growth mindset, you start to remember that failure is just feedback. It's only feedback. It's not a verdict. It's a stepping stone. It's you learning and growing. And that's really what failure is. And some of the biggest geniuses like, Ford and Benjamin Franklin, and even if you want to include Elon Musk, people like that, that they have failed over and over again. Amazon, I mean, they failed a lot of times, and that didn't hold them back. And that says something. They have an understanding that failure is part of life, that when you're failing, you're learning. It's a stepping stone. And we have to have a lot of compassion for ourselves and say, it's okay. It's part of being human.
Right. And everyone has failed at some point in their life. And, don't take it as to believe that it has anything to do with your worthiness or whether or not you're good enough. So let's move on to the next one. People will judge me. This fear of being judged, it can really hold people back in terms of what they're willing to do, how they're willing to put themselves out there. Really, I think a lot of people hold themselves back, and they're not willing to be their authentic selves because they fear they'll be judged. And they have this belief that if people judge me, it means I'm not good enough. And so coming to the understanding that people's judgments reflect their perspectives, not your value, and that your value is really independent of other people's judgments. And so, working with affirmations of I am enough, regardless of others' judgments, could be really helpful and useful to someone who is stuck in this mode of, anxiety, of thinking that other people's opinions determine their worth, and that people's judgments will ruin them or will mean that they have failed. We need to reframe those thoughts into ones that reinforce that others' judgments don't define our worthiness, and that we can't control other people's thoughts, but we can control how we respond.
Right, right. And I think that that leads perfectly into the I'm afraid of being rejected because, obviously, way back in the day, if we weren't part of a tribe, if we weren't part of a group, then that would lead to most likely certain death. And we still have that in our limbic system. It's part of our nervous system. To be rejected could be meaning that we could die in some way, and we die in many ways, right? Because we die emotionally as well as physically. We have those moments where we just totally collapse, and it feels like a death when you've been rejected or when you've experienced some sort of shaming. And so we've had these experiences of exclusion or abandonment. And when you have that as a child, it's much more significant because, we're fragile. We don't know what's going on. We see everybody's bigger than us, so it's very intimidating when you get rejected. And sometimes people don't overcome that, don't overcompensate and become very angry or agitated, always feel like they're having have a fight. But that fear of rejection is from initial experiences of being excluded or feeling that you're abandoned and you're not safe. And sometimes we put that with collapses with that fear of or that feeling that rejection means that I'm not worthy. And again, we have to overcome that. Rejection isn't about my worth, or it's about being misaligned with the situation. And I think that if you really understand that, it's that, when you're misaligned with the situation, it's just a misalignment. Your perception was one thing, or your perspective was one thing, and other people's perspective was something else. And it's just a misalignment. It's not the end of the world. It's not even a rejection in most cases. It just means that they saw it one way and you see it another way. And if we start to put some distance between, our perspective is not who I am, then you can allow for other people to have different opinions without it meaning that they're rejecting you, because you're not your thoughts. You're not your opinions. If you're somebody that's growing and changing, these things change your perceptions and your opinions. But, one of the things that we can do is, realize that rejection does happen to everyone, and it's really not a reflection on your value.
Right. And I think it's important to state that, being rejected, that leaves a mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it will obviously, you'll develop a belief about your worthiness around that. But when we can heal that wound really and truly, and come to, go from rejection means I'm unworthy to rejection isn't about my worth, like you just said, it's about the misalignment, and holding out this belief, this aim and hope that you will find your people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will find that belonging. So it's really important to know that even if you haven't found it yet, you will find it. You are worthy of it, right?
Right. And the other thing I would say is that it's possible that you are within your group, and it's your misalignment with your own group that makes you feel like you're not part of the group. It could be your perception of what's happening in the group. So you have to question everything, because you might interpret what they're saying as rejection, when it's their own fear for your future in some cases, that they're expressing what you think is what you're taking as criticism as them giving you some sort of feedback.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend a day on that, right?
It's true. It's true. It's true. Let's go to the next one. Should
I'm afraid of being vulnerable. Again, this fear of not being accepted, this wanting, right? We all want to be loved and accepted and part of the group. It's our safety, it's survival. And when we come to a place where we're not comfortable being ourselves, really showing who we are, because we're afraid that we'll be hurt or judged, then we come into being in misalignment with ourselves. And so knowing that it's okay, that it is safe to show who you are, to open up, to be vulnerable, because this vulnerability fosters authentic connection and strength. And it allows for deeper, more meaningful relationships. So it's actually a strength to be vulnerable. And if you can shift to that knowing that when I'm strong, I allow myself to truly be seen, because it's an act of bravery, and it is how we connect, right? And so you can go from that fear of being seen and being judged for who you are to having courage and trusting that you're showing your truth, your vulnerabilities, and opening up, allow people to see you and connect with the real you.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing to feel, to feel yourself, to be so flexible with yourself and know, look, I'm not perfect. I'm like, I'm growing, I'm expanding in, in love and reason, acceptance, forgiveness. And when you feel more authentic, how you are with other people, how you receive what other people, give you, it changes, it shifts, because you're no longer on the defensive, because you already love and accept yourself. There's nothing that they can attack. You don't feel attacked anymore because you love yourself. You know how worthy you are. And I'm afraid of change, right? That's a big one, because, change is one of those things that's inevitable. We're going to have change no matter what. Things just keep evolving. And that's a good thing for many of us. But for many of us also, it's very difficult, right? It's that fear of uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes it's not that you're not willing for things to change. It's the uncertainty of what is possible, that you don't know what's possible. And it could be positive and it could be negative. And, you might feel that you're going to lose something, or that you're going to fail in this new endeavor or this new change. And, it's a part of life. And when we learn how to pivot, and when we are authentic, and we like look at failure in a different way, when we have a growth mindset, when we understand that we're worthy, it shifts how we begin to look at uncertainty, because we start to look at our past differently, and we say, oh, I failed, but I learned this, and now I can use it. And so now you start to resource yourself and say, look, this is change, but I have a lot of resources, and I know a lot of things, and I know that I can learn a lot of things. And so that's huge.
Yeah, that being able to be adaptable and open to growth, and just knowing that change is natural and a necessary part of life. Yes, it may lead to uncertainty and a sense of instability, because you don't know how it's going to turn out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But believing that you can handle it is essential, because if you go into any change that's occurring in your life and you have this belief that you can't handle it, then you're kind of setting yourself up to not be able to handle it. So you have to, like you said, resource yourself and draw from past experience where you have been able to successfully adapt to changes in the past, and recognize that you are capable of adapting and thriving through change.
Right. And it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to have that, initial fear. But and then, you resource yourself. You put the fear down and you start to look at yourself and you say, okay, I've got this. And if I don't got this, then I'm going to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Well, and also, if it doesn't turn out well, you will have most certainly learned something.
Absolutely. Well, great. That's what we have for today.
Yes, excellent. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I didn't ask you, are you ready for Thanksgiving?
Partially ready. mostly ready, I should say. Still have a couple of things that we have to pick up, but it'll be good. It'll be fine. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Well, happy Thanksgiving. And I guess we will see everyone back on Tuesday of next week.
Yes, absolutely. All righty.